Okay, it's a few minutes after 1, and it looks like we have a fair number of attendees. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the webinar and Q&A session for the Nevada NASA Space Grant and EPSCoR Research Infrastructure solicitations. These are solicitations that are open to NSHE faculty for seed grants for research projects related to NASA's programs. What we will do in this meeting, I'll introduce myself and the staff, and then I will sort of go through the solicitation, the solicitations, and point out some of the key elements of the solicitations. And then I'll try to do that kind of quickly, and then we can open it up for questions and answers, hopefully. So let's do the introductions for the staff really quick. So first of all, I'm Eric Wilcox. I am research professor at the Desert Research Institute. I'm based in Reno, and I am the newly appointed director for Nevada NASA Space Grant and EPSCoR programs statewide. So these programs, so I direct these programs that this and the other solicitations for funding opportunities for students and faculty in Nevada. And then we're joined also by our staff from the NSHE Sponsored Project Office that helped me administer these programs, Hebron and Michael. Hebron, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I think I've met at least a few of you before, but yes, I am. My name is Hebron Chavez. I work at I'm the RA for these programs for both NASA EPSCoR and the NASA Space Grant. I'm basically helping sort of execute Eric's vision for the programs and any sort of administrative tasks that come alongside that.
Michael, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Michael Lujan, and I'm the program coordinator for Nevada Space Grant and EPSCoR, and I help Eric and Hebron administer the programs.
Thank you. And you should also know that there are campus associate directors on each of the NSHE campuses for the Space Grant program. These are colleagues, faculty members who are available on your campus as another resource for advice or questions about these programs. I only see one of those on, and since she has her camera on, I'll let her introduce herself. Farnaz, who is our campus associate director from DRI.
Hi all, my name is Farnaz Hassanpour. I'm faculty at DRI Reno campus, and I'm helping Eric and other colleagues for Nevada NASA programs. Thank you.
And as I said, if you're not a DRI person, there is a campus associate director on your campus, and you can go to our website and see a list of those campus associate directors and their contact information. I think I also wanted to mention, I meant to mention right at the top, we are recording this session. Is that correct, Michael?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. So we're recording this, and it is our intention to post this session for those who couldn't attend. We just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and try to, as efficiently as I can, I'm going to try to sort of walk through the solicitations. I apologize that it's not showing me all of. They seem to have changed. Okay, I'll just share this screen then. First, I wanted to, is that visible, my sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to share the website. So this is where you go to find information on our programs, and I believe Michael pasted the URL in the chat to this website. So this is where you go, and all the information about all of our programs are here. Today, we are going to talk specifically about the research infrastructure solicitations open to NSHE faculty. And to find the information on those, you would go at the top here where it says funding opportunities and click there. And then this comes up with all of our current funding opportunities. And we've recently released solicitations basically for nearly all of the programs that we compete, including student fellowships and scholarships, and other faculty opportunities for curriculum development and teaching related elements of our program. We will have a separate webinar for those competitions. Those are the ones that you can see here right underneath the heading for faculty. We're going to talk specifically about these next two that are here, the Nevada NASA Space Grant Research Infrastructure solicitation and the closely related NASA EPSCoR Research Infrastructure Development Seed Grant solicitation. So these two solicitations here. And the way this works with all of these programs is you just click where it says learn more about this opportunity, and that will take you to the specific details about the program. So I'm going to use, for the purposes of the next few minutes as I go over these, I'm going to use the Space Grant Research Infrastructure Solicitation as the guide. And then after I go through all this, I'll briefly go to the EPSCoR Space Grant Solicitation, the EPSCoR Research Infrastructure Solicitation, and just point out a few places where that solicitation is just slightly different. So here are here is the sort of overarching or overview information about the solicitation. What the focus is, or sort of the goal of the Space Grant program is to develop a diverse and capable Nevada STEM workforce and to provide NASA-related faculty research and workforce development projects. The projects selected in this competition will be faculty projects that enhance Nevada's research infrastructure and or provide STEM workforce development opportunities in NASA's Mission Directorate research topic areas. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail when we get into the solicitation itself. Who's eligible? Faculty within the Nevada system of higher education, and we particularly encourage junior faculty, women, and members of underrepresented groups to apply for these programs. You do not, some of our programs are restricted to only US citizens, but these programs are not. So these research infrastructure solicitations, you do not need to be a US citizen to submit a proposal to these programs. Those who currently have a research infrastructure award through these programs from the previous competition, or perhaps have received an extension for one from an earlier competition, are not eligible. So you have to complete your previous project before you're eligible to submit a proposal for a new project. And then we're going to be talking about two programs, as I mentioned, the Space Grant Research Infrastructure and the EPSCoR Research Infrastructure Development Seed Grant Program. These are two very similar programs with only slight differences. And you basically have to pick one. So if you want to submit a proposal, you have to submit a proposal to one or the other. You can't submit a proposal to both of these programs. And then the funding amount is there. I'm going to actually open the solicitation. So if you want to see the solicitation itself, you click right here, this link that says solicitation, and that will provide a PDF file. Which should come up here. I'll get that to go away. Okay. So there is the solicitation, and actually I'm going to, because that's not showing the other elements, so I'm going to show the version that I've downloaded. So bear with me for a second while I'm going to, well, actually, before I stop sharing, let me just also point out that before I move away from the website, when you actually go to submit your proposal, there is a link here for submissions, and I believe and Michael and Hebron can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we asked that these proposals be submitted through this link, and that will have you upload the proposal document when you're done. Is that correct, Michael?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let me stop sharing briefly and bring up the other document. So let me move these over here so that I don't need to do this again. Okay, so here is the actual solicitation PDF document. If you click that solicitation link, and let me point out the dates that are on the front. So some of this is information that repeats from what was on the website. The applications are due March 6th, which is a Monday, and they're due by 5 p.m. Pacific time on that link that I showed on the website. The period of performance for this award will nominally run from August 1st of 2023 to May 31st, 2024. That's when we expect that the funds will be available for you to conduct the project. Here's the information about the webinar. That was actually the webinar we're doing right now. We tried to do this in December, but it wasn't advertised well enough, so we didn't get good enough attendance. So that's why we're redoing it today. And then there's a note here that this solicitation has a relatively high funding rate, which is just a note of encouragement that a relatively high proportion of proposals to these programs do get funded, certainly a higher portion than most of the federal competitions that NASA runs for big federal research grants. So this is a good opportunity for a faculty member in NSHE to get a modest sort of seed grant to conduct a small project. Let me note I've opened on the side here of, and this is the Acrobat, the app I'm running here is Acrobat to view the PDF file. And you should note that the solicitation has a number of documents paper clipped to it, which are mostly more PDF documents. And so these include a cover page for your proposal that we want you to fill out. Some other things that the solicitation refers to, like the Governor's Office of Economic Development State Plan for Economic Development in Nevada. And then down here is the Nevada System of Higher Education, Science and Technology Plan. And the solicitation refers you to those documents because one of the things we ask is that you explain how your project relates to development goals in the state of Nevada. We also include the FY22 NASA strategic plan because we also ask that you describe how your proposed project relates to NASA's strategic goals. So all those documents are here for your reference. As I mentioned, there's a cover page that we want you to fill out and put on the front of your proposal submission. And then there's also an Excel file here, which I believe is the budget template. And you'll work with your sponsored project office or whoever your business staff is in your department to help you prepare a proper budget. And the other thing I will note is that we always encourage PIs to submit their proposals early. If you submit your proposals early, there is an opportunity for us to take a look at your proposal before the deadline. And especially if there's issues with the budget, for example, we can bounce them back to you and have them corrected before the solicitation deadline. If you submit right at the deadline, there isn't time for us to do that, and we can't allow for any amendments or changes to a proposal after the deadline. The deadline is a hard and firm deadline, and we can't accept proposals after that deadline either.
Let me just jump in here,
yeah, sure.
Eric. I will add that we have sometimes had issues with the website in the past where folks might not be able to submit. If that ever happens to you and the deadline is approaching, again, this is before the deadline, and the deadline is approaching, then send us an email, send us your actual application packet via email, and we, at that point, we can make a determination of whether or not we can accept it. But again, this has to be before the deadline, as Eric mentioned.
And we're accessible. So again, if you go to the website, my contact information is there. Hebron's contact information is there. Michael's contact information is there. So if there's questions about solicitation ahead while you're preparing your proposal or trying to prepare your budget, you need some clarification, or your business office needs some clarification, you're always welcome to reach out to us, and we'll again, before the deadline, you're welcome to reach out to us, and we can help clarify items. Let's see. So I already talked about the eligibility. The award funding information shows you how much money you may propose up to these limits. We are expecting awards to award up to $25,341 in federal funds for each project. And then we anticipate that we can also make available up to $16,874 per project in state matching funds. These are funds that reside in an account that the state holds that is designed for matching funds for grants. And typically in this program, those funds have been made available as matching funds for these projects. So when you look at the Excel budget sheet that's attached to this solicitation, and you start working with your business staff to fill it out, you will see two columns there, a column for the federal funds and a column for the state matching funds. And you may submit a budget up to those limits in each of those two columns. And then we will, your institution may collect F&A or indirect costs on the federal portion of that and not on the state portion of that. And if there's more questions about that, we can take those later. We expect to fund two projects in this. This is the Space Grant Research Infrastructure competition. And as I said, we will shortly switch over to the EPSCoR, which will have more awards available. But we expect to fund two research infrastructure awards under Space Grant in this competition. The budgets, that budget sheet, when you work on it with your business staff, it actually has to be signed by the official who's authorized to submit proposals in your department or your college. If there are collaborators at another campus, those details have to be included. And again, we can help you work out details ahead of the deadline if you have complicated situations like that. The awards will be made to the lead PI, and their institution will then subaward funds to other collaborating NSHE institutions if there are any collaborating institutions in your project. There's a note here that potential delays in congressional appropriation and release of funds may result in late subawards. I'm not sure whether that's relevant this year or not, but it may very well be. We expect lots of budgetary turmoil at the federal level this year because of the divided Congress that was just elected. So sometimes there is a delay in our ability to issue awards once we've selected who's going to get funded. Sometimes there is a delay because of delays in receiving the money from the federal government. And we do anticipate the potential for delays at the federal level in the next 2 years because of the divided Congress. Again, the deadline is listed there. We've already talked about that. What are you obligated to produce at the end of your project? We do expect a progress and final. Do we? I'm checking with Michael and Hebron here. These are less than a year. Do we require a progress report on a grant that's less than a year? Or is that if there's an extension requested?
Yeah, that's more if an extension is requested. I mean, obviously, like at the end, we'll have you guys report on like your results at the end of the project. But yeah, if there is a delay, or if there's an extension rather, then we would use that information to sort of feed into the report, the yearly report for the space grant.
Okay. Yeah, so you'll get more details on the reporting that's required if you receive an award from us. We also do try to collect demographic data about the participants in our program so that we can report that to NASA. We often prepare highlights of projects that we fund, and those are important because we report highlights from our program to NASA headquarters so that they know about the great work that you guys are doing in the state of Nevada. And then we also sometimes report those to our congressional delegations as well, so they know how valuable NASA funds are to the state of Nevada and to researchers in the state of Nevada. So we ask you to provide us with highlight information that we can use for those purposes. We also do a statewide meeting in the spring, which is coming up in April. This year will be hosted by Western Nevada College in Carson City. And we do ask that faculty that get funded, if they are able, to attend that meeting, or at least a subset of them to come and give a little presentation to other participants in our programs about the research they're doing with these funds. Here's the proposal preparation guidelines. We do have typeface and point size restrictions so that proposals aren't too difficult for us to review. One of the most important things to keep in mind about preparing your proposal is that we review these, we convene a panel of your peers from across the Nevada system of higher education to review these proposals. And we can't ensure that there will be panelists that are expert in your topic of research. So it's very important when you prepare your proposal that you prepare a proposal that can be understood by faculty from across a sort of diverse range of expertise. Now, typically we try to draw on faculty who have participated in our programs in the past to help us review these. So often the people reviewing these proposals are people who have some expertise in NASA-related research topics, but again, they may not be expert at all in your topic. So you need to prepare a proposal that can be understood by a panel, a diverse panel